Hi guys, how you doing? So I had recently got asked to do a video on children who have been diagnosed with ADHD, and during this time of quarantine, I know it's been hard. Everyone has been at home and having their kids at home all the time, so I can only imagine. I personally don't have any kids, so I'm not here to tell anyone how to parent by any means, and I'm just here to bring awareness how it's diagnosed and the solution that doctors will give you versus what we can look at looking into the child as a whole and how our body responds to certain things. First of all, I just want to start off by saying that ADHD is not a Ritalin deficiency or sedative deficiency. There's no medication that we need that we're deficient in our own body. When we have a mineral or vitamin deficiency, it triggers something else in response. Also, I think it's interesting to find out that now 1 in every 10 child or kid is diagnosed. What is ADHD? What is ADD? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, attention deficit disorder. The key thing when you're thinking about this should be how your brain is really connected to everything in our body. Everything that we do, we eat, everything that we think, we exercise, our gut flora, anything that we do in negativity or anything that we eat that causes a reaction is going to affect our brain. Things that the doctors actually look for, I was on some sites earlier, this is how doctors actually diagnose ADHD, and I think this is really important when understanding. Having trouble doing a task, ignores direction, delays listening, fidgets, talks a lot, can't slow down, needs to be reminded a lot, unable to wait for direction, trouble recalling facts, and gets frustrated learning new things. Those are diagnoses for like a first or second grader. And if you think about putting a child in a school environment is not normal. So when you put them in an environment where you're telling them to be quiet, to sit for long periods of time, to not talk, to not play so loudly and things like that, that's an abnormal environment for a child. Kids are learning and they are social and it's okay. These are all normal signs for a child to go through. Now, the solution is not medication. I'm not telling you to take your child off medication. I am going to recommend some things that you can talk to your provider or talk to someone to get specific testing for a deficiency. So then you can kind of be on that road to cure it in a more holistic way, because there are natural ways to go about this. Remember, this is purely physiological and physical. It's not mental. Now, once again, there are behavioral disorders that children may go through, but understand different traumas that we've been through as a child. So many different factors play into this. I'm going to focus more on nutritional. Doctors are going to treat symptoms. Okay, they're not paying attention, they're loud, they're not sitting down still enough. One thing that they don't necessarily look for is, does the child have pale skin? Does the child have inflammatory responses, asthma or eczema, sinus problems, a bunch of headaches, anger or mood swings, rashes anywhere, irregular bowels, anxiety, depression? Those are real cues. So then we can try and track it back to the root cause of what is the real issue. You can then kind of think, well, was your child introduced to antibiotics at an early stage? Does your child eat excess gluten or dairy? That can cause inflammation in many people. And I'm not saying that I'm like promoting gluten-free or dairy-free or anything like that. Does your child eat a lot of processed foods, deli meats and high fructose corn syrup, and all these additives and preservatives are really toxic to a lot of people. Some people do have allergies and intolerances to these specific things that are put into our food. All these chemicals are really important to think about. And not to mention, processed foods and preservatives have been linked to ADHD. What could cause ADHD? Once again, food sensitivities, environmental factors and toxins, metal toxicities, abnormal gut flora, nutritional deficiencies. These are all things to think about outside of just the behavioral things that you see. Get a root cause analysis. And what this is testing. See what your child is allergic to. See what deficiency is. The answer is not stimulants. Once again, for many children, it's not. For some, maybe. Eliminate the causes and implement the good things, the things that our body needs to thrive. Once you find this out, trace it back to the food. What is your child eating on a day-to-day basis that's going to be enhancing and making it worse, or helping, just trying to get you to think a little bit outside the box, and then think, how is my child responding to what they're eating? How do I respond to what I eat when I eat a really high carb meal, then I crash? A child just doesn't have a way of expressing it, so they may express it in a temper tantrum or anger or frustration or things like this. Many deficiencies that could cause this are omega-3 deficiency. Fish, nuts, seeds, zinc, vitamin E are essential for our brain and our function in our body. Vitamin D deficiency, that's a really big one as well. Magnesium, once again, grains, nuts, seeds. B6, B vitamins in general are great. So if you have a vitamin B deficiency, this could trigger an adverse response to behavior and things like that. Beta carotene is really important for our body, and it's found in vegetables. So these are just things to think about and put, okay, why does my child need vegetables? Why does my child need grains? Why does my child need this? Slowing the motor down naturally, because our children are going to be high energy. That's a normal child, right? But things that you can do naturally to slow that down. B vitamins are important in our functioning of our body, and nutritional yeast is really great for this. It may not be so good to taste, but you mix it with some peanut butter, mix it in some unsweetened applesauce. That's going to be really good. Potassium, making smoothies with like kale. I know my nephew loves a smoothie with a bunch of berries, but you sneak some spinach or kale in there, and then they're getting that potassium and they might not eat on a plate. Magnesium is really important, and it can help naturally slow the body down. Sugar, eliminating that from the diet. I know we introduce sugar into our children's diet very early, but this should not be happening. And I know it was just Easter, so they have a lot of candy. A little bit here and there is okay, but when it's in overabundance, that's when it's going to cause those adverse effects. MSG is in so many processed foods. Getting back to the root cause, cutting out those dyes and those colorings and all these things in our food is going to be so important and so key in child success. It'll help their cognitive function, it'll help their attention span, it'll help their behavior, help them calm down, help them listen, help their writing skills, their motor skills, things like that really could be negatively affected by all these processed foods. So when you're thinking about ADHD, link it to what they're eating and what they're putting in their body, and find creative ways to get fruits and vegetables into their diet, smoothies, and finding out healthier sugar options there are versus giving this processed food. And once again, I'm not targeting anyone specifically. I'm just trying to help and expand outside the box of just relying on medication so quickly and finding out that root cause versus treating the symptom with the medication. So there's a bunch of recipes online that you can look at for different options for healthier alternatives to really implement some of these things into your children's diet and make it fun. Be excited about it. I notice with my nephew, when I'm excited about something and I say, Auntie loves it, he's more excited versus if I'm like, oh, he never eats vegetables, oh, these are gross, or he doesn't eat it. He'll see that and react to that. So being excited, being like, I love this, that helps create that neurological response like, ooh, it's an exciting thing, it's a good thing. They'll have a better connection. That mind to food connection is really important for a child too. So my nephew's actually 3 now, and I remember really trying to find ways to be positive and be excited about introducing that food into the diet is key here. So, and I hope this helped, and stay positive. I know it's a hard time right now. Let me know if you guys have any questions for anything that I covered. Have a great day.